Hey, Kentucky. Mark Pope proved last season that he knows how to coach. Can he establish himself at Kentucky? Let's get to the news. Subscribe to the channel first. The discussion about Mark Pope has never really been about his ability to coach basketball. He proved that, and early on, from the tactical turnaround against Duke last season to the consistent, well-tuned offense he's carried since his time at BYU, Pope has already demonstrated that he is, technically, an elite coach. The question now is different, much deeper and more specific to the Lexington universe. Can he establish himself at Kentucky? And it is precisely this season, still so young, that he will begin to offer that answer. The 88-46 victory over Loyola, Maryland served to momentarily erase the open wound left by the 24-point loss to Michigan State, but it didn't hide the emotional, collective, and even communicational turbulence that has formed in recent weeks. Pope knows how to win. He knows how to devise high-level offensive schemes. He knows how to use numbers and analysis like few others. But Kentucky demands something more than that. It demands mastery of chaos, control of the narrative, reading of egos, shielding against external and internal storms. It demands that the coach be, at the same time, a strategist and a crisis manager, and that is what will truly be put to the test from now on. Until December, the Wildcats will face only one low-to-man game, but soon after the schedule becomes a real challenge. In a short period, for ranked opponents, North Carolina, Gonzaga, Indiana, and St. John's will expose, without filters, what this team really is. And, above all, they will reveal who Pope really is as the commander of one of the most prestigious jerseys in the history of college basketball. The losses to Louisville and Michigan State show that Kentucky is not ready in the present. The question is whether it will evolve quickly enough to compete in the immediate future. Pope tries to demonstrate that he does not fear the adverse scenario. His words, "I love every second of this. I find it inspiring that we're at a disadvantage," reflect the mindset of someone willing to face pressure. But the nebulous episode about something that supposedly threw the team off balance before the game against Louisville left its mark, not only because of the poorly explained insinuation, but because in the vacuum of information, rumors, loose interpretations, and an uncontrolled narrative that took on a life of its own emerged. In Kentucky, every silence becomes a megaphone. That's where the real challenge lies. Pope needs to learn that, in Lexington, even breathing becomes news. Every phrase, every gesture, every detail becomes fuel for the most repeated question on radios, forums, TikTok, and podcasts. What's wrong with the Wildcats? And this question grows even more when the team is completely rebuilt, as it was last season, and the expectations, now, yes, are enormous. On the court, Pope continues to make the right moves. It was he who decided to start Malachi Moreno, recognizing the synergy with Cam Williams and punishing Brandon Garrison's defensive slump. And it worked. Moreno delivered solidity, Williams shone, and even Garrison responded with his best rebounding tally of the season. These are decisions that reveal reading of the game, method, and courage, essential qualities in a coach who needs to prove he has a firm hand. But the question remains, will this be enough? Because in Kentucky, a coach can't just assemble the right offense. He needs to manage the right locker room. He needs to close the right doors. He needs to build trust amidst the hysteria. He needs to establish a culture before the external noise establishes another one for him. Pope earned goodwill last season when the rookie roster allowed him to make mistakes without much repercussion. Now that benefit is gone. Now, the benchmark is a historical benchmark of the University of Kentucky. Titles, consistency, emotional control, and inevitably the pursuit of a 9th national championship. The players seem to feel that Pope is still the right figure. Colin Chandler highlighted that the coach is terrible at losing, but great at learning from it and teaching. Otega Owa, who recovered emotionally against Loyola, reinforced the idea of unity as a response to turbulence. There are signs that the group still believes in him, and that is vital and still fragile. In the end, the central question isn't whether Pope knows how to coach. That's already established. The real question, the one that will begin to be answered game by game in December, is whether he knows how to coach here in Kentucky, whether he knows how to navigate the most demanding, unforgiving, and emotionally unstable environment in college basketball, whether he knows how to survive the weight of expectations, the inevitable rumors, the pressure of a state that lives every dribble as if it were destiny. Pope still has a lot to do. College basketball recruitment is an art as complex as it is unpredictable, especially for a program the size and prestige of Kentucky. The lack of signings during the early commitment period for class of 2026 may have generated some apprehension among Wildcats fans, but Mark Pope, ever optimistic, seems to see beyond appearances. For him, the story is still being written, and the next chapters may bring surprises that will reaffirm Kentucky as an undeniable powerhouse on the national stage. One name that stands out as practically certain to wear the blue and white is Tyron Stokes, the number 1 ranked recruit in the class of 2026. Stokes, a wing with versatile skills and a dominant presence on both sides of the court, has been consistently linked to the Wildcats throughout the recruitment process. With his undeniable talent and the marketing machine that Kentucky offers, few doubt that Stokes is destined to become the next big star in Lexington. His arrival would represent not only a technical addition to the roster, but also a symbol of renewal and hope for a program facing increasing pressure to maintain its prominent position in college basketball. However, not everything is so clear when it comes to Christian Collins, another priority target for the Wildcats. Although experts and analysts have suggested that Collins may end up opting for Kentucky, there are persistent doubts about the player's level of interest in the program. The 5-star forward has been courted by several elite schools, and his final decision may depend on factors beyond simple institutional prestige. For Kentucky, securing Collins would be a significant strategic move, considering his ability to score efficiently and create opportunities for his teammates. However, until there is an official commitment, speculation will continue to linger, fueling both the expectation and anxiety of the fans. In addition to Stokes and Collins, other high-level prospects remain on Pope's radar. Caleb Holt, a 5-star point guard known for his court vision and exceptional control, is also on the Wildcats' priority list. The competition for these players is fierce, with programs like Duke, North Carolina, and Houston trying to steal Kentucky's market share in the talent pool. It is in this context that recruitment becomes even more crucial. It's not enough to simply attract. It's necessary to convince, seduce, and above all, demonstrate that Kentucky remains the best destination for those who wish to achieve success in college basketball. Pope, however, isn't putting all his eggs in one basket with traditional recruitment. He knows that, in a world where the transfer market is increasingly relevant, building a competitive team goes far beyond attracting elite freshmen. Retaining current players like Cam Williams and seeking experienced talent through the transfer market are key to balancing the roster. This hybrid model, combining youth and experience, may be exactly what Kentucky needs to return to the top. Still, the pressure on Pope is palpable. The early signing period left the Wildcats without any confirmed commitments, something rare for a program accustomed to securing at least one elite prospect early in the cycle. Baba Oladiton, Bryson Howard, Arifan Diane, and Maximo Adams opted for other paths, while Darren Rippey Jr. didn't even include Kentucky on his final roster. These losses are significant, but Pope remains confident that the future still holds great achievements for the program. "We are very excited about our situation," Pope recently stated. And this statement, though brief, carries significant weight. It reflects not only the coach's determination to overcome current challenges, but also his conviction that Kentucky is still in contention for the best available talent, whether through spring commitments, portal moves, or even quiet announcements like those seen in the past. Pope believes the pieces will eventually fall into place. For Kentucky fans, the message is clear. The current moment may seem uncertain, but Pope's optimism is contagious. With Tyron Stokes practically guaranteed and Christian Collins still shrouded in mystery, the future of Wildcats basketball is under construction. The news about Jaden Quaintance couldn't have come at a better time for Kentucky. Amid a season start marked by ups and downs, criticism, and constant rotation adjustments, Mark Pope was finally able to deliver an update that changes the mood around the team. JQ is officially taking his first real steps toward a return. And in the current context of the Wildcats, this is much more than just medical progress. It's a shot of hope for a team that urgently needs physical presence, rim protection, and emotional impact. Quaintance, a potential lottery pick and one of the most talented players on the roster, has been a major absence since the beginning of the season. His recovery from an ACL injury, suffered during his time at Arizona State, required care, patience, and time. But according to Mark Pope, the turning point is approaching. The information that JQ is now participating in light contact drills is already enough to excite. But the detail that really caught attention was another. The center participated for the first time in 2-on-2 drills against a reserve team. For someone who had been doing only controlled progressions for months, this is a symbolic and practical transition of enormous relevance. It's not just a physical milestone. It's a competitive milestone. Pope, always transparent when it comes to individual effort, didn't hide his enthusiasm. He recounted that JQ stayed on the court for more than 20 minutes after practice, simply dunking the ball, accompanied by teammates who cheered with each of the center's jumps. The coach described the moment naturally, but his words carried genuine admiration. He's an impressive human being, truly impressive. These words, coming from a coach who works daily with top-level athletes, say a lot about who Quaintance is in the locker room. The momentary scare, when Pope thought JQ had entered the drill without permission, only reinforces the athlete's eagerness to return. After a rookie season in which he averaged 9.4 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 2.6 blocks per game, shooting over 50%, Quaintance was on the rise before his injury. And now, on a Kentucky team that has shown clear defensive weaknesses, especially in rim protection and physical presence, his presence will not only be welcome, it will be crucial. It's impossible to ignore the impact JQ can have on Mark Pope's system. He's exactly the type of center who transforms a team's defensive identity, someone who changes shot trajectories, controls the paint, and commands respect. His reaction time, wingspan, and physique can solve problems that Kentucky hasn't been able to immediately address at the start of the season. And at the same time, his offensive ability, quiet but efficient, adds balance to a team that still fluctuates in both ends of the court. The most interesting thing, however, is how the group reacted to their teammates' progress. The fact that everyone stayed on the court encouraging the post-practice dunks shows something important. JQ is loved, respected, and seen as an essential piece for what this team still intends to be. In long seasons, marked by pressure and external noise, these internal bonds are more important than they seem. Pope's update, therefore, is not just medical, it's strategic. It marks the beginning of a phase in which Kentucky can finally begin to imagine its complete roster, with its most talented and imposing center returning to the center of the paint. And as December approaches, with its brutal schedule, each advance by Quaintance becomes even more relevant. If JQ continues on this upward trajectory and is able to return in the near future, Kentucky will gain not only a recovered player, but a defensive anchor and emotional presence, and perhaps the missing piece to stabilize a team that is still trying to find its definitive form. For Mark Pope and the Wildcats, this is undoubtedly the most promising news of recent weeks. And at Rupp Arena, everyone knows exactly what that means. The noise is about to get louder again, this time for the right reasons. I want to hear your opinion now.